So I said, அரசு வந்து கொடுக்கலாமே, இது வந்து ரொம்ப ஒன்றும் அப்படியே வந்து it's not a huge expenditure. Of course, it fell on deaf ears. But the reason which was given to me was that these things are only for a certain category of people. வசதி படைச்சவங்க மட்டும்தான் அதெல்லாம் பண்ணுவாங்க. That is nonsense. I'm sorry to say that. That is complete nonsense. இன்னைக்கு தமிழ்நாட்டில் ஃபஸ்ட்டு இந்த சோஷியல் மீடியாவை பயன்படுத்துறதுல one good thing is we do not have a category A, category B, category C. Everybody has access to social media. இன்னைக்கு கிராமத்தில் உண்மையாகவே ஐம் சேயிங் வில்லேஜஸில் நம்ம நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்கோம். நீங்கள் போய் கிராமத்தில் பாருங்கள், அங்கே இருக்கிற பிள்ளைங்க நம்மளை விட அதிகமாக ஸ்மார்ட் ஃபோன் யூஸ் பண்ணுறாங்க. அதிகமாக ஸ்மார்ட் ஃபோனில் இருக்கிற ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் அவங்களுக்கு தெரியும், நமக்கு தெரியாது. Because they have greater amount of time to play around with it and find out more. So this whole nonsense that I am in a city, I belong to a well-to-do, I come from a well-to-do background, அதனால வந்து எனக்கு சோஷியல் மீடியாவில் நான் இருக்கேன் இல்லாட்டி இருக்க மாட்டாங்கங்கிறது அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு அபத்தம் கிடையவே கிடையாது. தமிழ்நாட்டில் எல்லாரும் சோஷியல் மீடியாவில் ஒரு பெரிய அளவில் வர ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க, வர வேண்டும். அந்த ஆக்சலரேஷனை கவர்மெண்ட் கொடுக்கணும். ஒரு ஃப்ரீ வைஃபை ஹாட்ஸ்பாட்ஸ் இன் மெனி பிளேசஸ், இன்டர்நெட் ஆக்சஸ், இதெல்லாம் மூலமாக ஒரு நியூ ஜெனரேஷன் ஆஃப் பீப்புள் திங்க் ஆஃப் தி இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் தே கெட். 20 வயசு 25 வயசு இன்றைக்கி இருக்கிற பசங்க எவ்வளோ பேர் நியூஸ் பேப்பர் படிக்கிறாங்க? 18 வயசு பசங்க நியூஸ் பேப்பர் படிக்கிறாங்களா? டிவி பார்க்குறதே வந்து ஃபோனில் தான் பார்க்குறாங்க. கரெக்டா? That is the power of this medium. And the power of the medium எப்படி கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டிவாக யூஸ் பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறது அரசு சிந்திக்கணும். I would request government, particularly the Tamil Nadu government, to seriously consider a formal social media strategy, have an official white paper published on social media strategy of the government, and start using social media effectively as a communication tool, as a governance tool to take it forward to the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for offering your brilliant ideas and constructive criticism. It's most welcome. Thank you. Next, we will have Mr. Srikanth to address. So, we will have him talk first, and then we will give it to the next panelist. So, Srikanth and Sailesh, they bridge the gap between the meteorological department and the common man through an application. The help they provided during the floods and during any monsoon is really appreciated. We all know the role played by them, the Twitter handles and the blogs that they did. So over to you, sir, to let us know how you went about doing it and what future ideas you have to provide us. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to all. Let me first start off with what you generally hear on the TV today. சென்னையில் ஓரிரண்டு இடங்களில் மழையுடன் மிக கனமழை காணப்படும். You hear it every time on the TV, and today's problem is they just won't do it. We need more information. Is there going to be floods? Is it going to be very heavy? What time is it going to rain? How much centimeters can you expect? Is it going to be very heavy? Is it going to be moderate? Is it going to rain throughout the night? This is the questions that we get asked as weather bloggers, and that is a problem. We are more interested in the science of weather, but then thanks to the void that's been created between the government and the public citizens, we are trying to fill in the void. And as Dr. Sumanth Raman said, social media is a very powerful tool. It can easily get misused, and we more than us giving out alerts to public as to what can be expected in today's weather, firefighting between rumors is a problem that is something that's becoming very well prevalent. So moral policing and responsibility is something that is the need of the hour right now. And I'll hand it over to Mr. Srikanth on how Chennai Mayakalam is trying to bridge the gap between weather agencies and public citizens.
Thanks. Thank you, Sailesh. Morning, everyone. Okay. It's very difficult to keep up the tempo when people like Dr. Raman, the Deputy Commissioner, had made very good presentation, and preceded by that was what Ashwin made with a lot of humor. Anyway, we'll try to keep as short as possible. Just a brief of what we are. As Sailesh said, we are actually an independent weather blogging community. Basically, we always say that we are a bridge between the official weather agency and common public. Primarily, if you see, through our nimble social media presence. That's the whole thing. The whole thing is that IMD, I think Dr. Raman talked of Chennai Traffic Police. If you go to the IMD page, I don't know how many people know that there is an IMD Twitter handle which exists, a Facebook page which exists. But unfortunately, that's a national issue. It's not just Tamil Nadu alone. So we are only as a bridge. We are trying to bring in a little bit of simplicity to the entire exercise and do it. That's what we are trying. What we do is we basically try to give two different activities here. One is what we try to give is a 24-hour or 36-hour outlook as to what to expect, and that is again trying to simplify it in terms of what a common man could understand and how it is. And then what we call as a nowcast or a current update or whatever, where we try to provide an update on the current prevailing situation, which, say for example, if it's a calamity or a very important extreme weather event. In this case, we had done it with Cyclone Varda as to what the city of Chennai should be expecting. Now, the only reason why we think social media is the way to go is because at the speed at which information flows. Today, if you see, for example, some of these messages which we sent to WhatsApp groups come back to us in less than a couple of minutes. See, that's the power of social media. I mean, see, we can keep talking of the negatives as well, but there are a lot of positives which one should leverage. Let's leverage that and do it. The other part which we are very proud, as I would call, is that we are trying to build that little bit of curiosity to a subject like weather using Tamil. Now, it's both English and Tamil. Basically, the understanding is that let's try to see if we can bring some of these sciences in our native language as well. So in this case, we tried to explain what monsoon is and how the entire southwest monsoon, northeast monsoon happens in Tamil, so that it could go to a slightly larger audience. Having said what we are, now some of the points in terms of why somebody should actively look at social media today to decipher information and information flow. Dr. Raman made a wonderful point in terms of saying social media is beyond now television and all. What I call it as, in fact, I think possibly a couple of points is already mentioned what we had in our mind, which is basically the social media today is the All India Radio of the earlier thing. Just like how All India Radio played a vital role in spreading information in the years gone by, social media is going to be the future, or at least the near future, maybe our generation. I think social media is going to be this thing. Some of these numbers are basically for India, which we had taken out of available research papers. 300 million smartphone users in India, and I think what I've not put here is basically I think 60% of the rural internet access is through smartphone. It's not through the broadband or any other telephony. It's through smartphone. You have what, 250 million Facebook users, and almost 78% use internet through smartphone. Now, as I said, we'll have to leverage technology, and we'll have to leverage what is the need of the hour is to basically look at going a step forward and using technology. So, as I said, let's look at smartphone as a key medium of information flow in the days to come. I think government has to accept it. If they've not already accepted, I think that's the truth. Okay. There are a couple of things which Dr. Raman mentioned. Okay. Now, say for example, in this case, we one of the key things which we do in this weather blocking is that we have people saying that, sir, there's one lady who had frantically messaged us saying that 8th, 9th is there going to be heavy rains. When you ask her, sir, 9th is my marriage, 8th is my reception. So at least if we know that the rains are going to be heavy, we'll do some little bit of planning. And then we have people messaging us from Australia during the 2015 floods saying that, is this area affected? What is the scene? And in one case, there was a gentleman who messaged us, and fortunately, his parents were living in a block which was a couple of blocks away from my home. So I had actually made the trip to their parents because their phone was down, checked everything was all right, and then I had messaged him. See, the key thing is that social media allows that interaction which Dr. Raman was mentioning. It is not possible in any other medium, say a television or a radio. It's pretty much one way. And like the Deputy Commissioner mentioned, there's going to be a huge amount of interaction which is going to help the message convey in a much better manner. And incidentally, social media as a cost is very cost effective, right? Okay, now, as Sailesh mentioned in the opening remarks, for us, weather blogging is just a passion. We don't want to do this business of providing updates. That's not what we want. We want to enjoy weather. All of us love rain, so we try to find out when the next rains happen. We don't want to give saying that, okay, this is the range. There's a gap because of which we are filling it up. So our request is, IMD, I think, has to take it up in terms of getting the social media thing sorted out, because the communication is going to be consistent. There's no confusion in terms of what is going to be expected, but obviously IMD has to scale up in terms of how they provide information. And B, the other key thing is which the Deputy Commissioner also talked of. These are all multiple handles which are I would call as something which has gone with similar to Chennai rains, because they want to just create another ID, keep communicating messages, etc. And finally, as to what the amount of rumors which get spread in tsunami, then NASA giving 250 centimeters forecast for Chennai. NASA does not do forecast. NASA is not into weather modeling in public domain yet. Yes, NASA has a weather model, that's an experimental model which is not in public domain. NASA does not give forecasts. Then there's another huge thing which happens. Vellakaram poi solamata. BBC la vanda 250 centimeter. What nonsense is this? And I think Danya's around here, right? News minute rumor. Crazy things. Guys are using Photoshop skills for the wrong reason. I don't know why. And there's one particular area, I think, which I would take this opportunity to request the Deputy Commissioner to take it up, which is what is called as the Emergency Mobile Alert Service, which US uses very actively, which is basically linked to the mobile phone as a emergency broadcast services. It's not something to do with your internet. It's not something to do with whether you're messaging or whatever. Basically, these are alerts which are sent to specific localities. Like, say, for example, you want to alert, say, the city of Chennai alone, saying that there's a likelihood of, say, for example, a cloudburst. Say 25 centimeters is likely to happen for the next, or even, say, for example, even in the 2015 scenario when there was a possible need for alerting people saying that Adyar is overflowing and is likely to breach the banks. Okay. Now this works on a simple system that there's a government agency which gives the alerts to the mobile service providers, and they give a list of areas where it needs to be given. Okay. Now all the towers which is specific to that area, the mobile phones connected to those towers alone get the message. It's not something like a mass SMS system where everyone gets a direct message of some multiple millions and lakhs. Specific where it is needed. In fact, tornado alerts are given like this. Rainfall alerts are given like this. Cyclone warning is given like this. Basically, again, as I said, it's not social media, but yes, it's a very important technology which is available considering the smartphone proliferation, the penetration which India has today. I think as a government, you should take it up actively, sir. That's our request, because it's a 30-minute advance notice is going to change somebody getting affected between life and death, isn't it? That's the whole thing. Thank you. Thank you for giving an opportunity, Tamil Nadu Young Thinkers Forum. As I said, we want to get back to weather blogging alone, not giving updates. Hopefully, in the days to come, we'll enjoy our weather, just like you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Srikanth. Now I request Sailesh, do you... Okay. Now I request Mr. Kiruba Shankar to address the gathering. Mr. Kiruba Shankar is the CEO of Business Blogging and founder director of FI Technologies. He has 20 years of experience in internet space and helps craft digital strategies for large firms. He has worked with leading brands such as British Council, Domino's, Murugappa Group, L&T, and The Hindu. He has been teaching for 16 years and is also a professor of digital marketing and has been teaching at leading business schools. He is a professional speaker and has delivered over 500 talks at various conferences and corporate events. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. For 18 years, I've been a professor of digital marketing, where I take ஒரு 22 வருஷமா வந்துட்டு all your professional consulting, digital consulting experience வந்து also put it out for teaching. For the first time in 18 years, I did an experiment with my students. I asked them to take each company as a case study, and as part of that role, they are supposed to do in-depth research on each company, go and meet the chief marketing officer, the chief sales officer, the CEO, find out the best practices, the challenges, come back to the class and actually teach the rest of the students on what they have learned from that company. I went one step further and I asked them to frame 5 questions based on their presentations and collected a rich repertoire of question bank on which the question paper will be formed. And I came out with some very interesting takeaways. In all these 18 years, this batch was the most engaged. They found when the responsibility was given to them, they really took it up, and the feedback that they gave was that the learning was far more enriching. This was the first year that they ranked me as the best professor amongst all. And this is for a job where I outsourced it to the students. And some really solid takeaway. If you understand the pyramid of learning, the least part on the top, which is a small cone, is where when people are lectured at, like what I'm doing to you right now. The best part is when people turn into teachers, then it motivates them to learn. Now, why am I telling you all this? Draw an analogy to what the government is doing. Well, let me first draw an analogy to how you guys are sitting right now. I want you to take a look around, look at the 7 people standing behind. Can you take a look around? The reason why the 7 people are standing around is because all the seats on the edges are already taken. But if you look at, there's so many seats out there in the middle and the edge, just that they don't want to squeeze past you and go through. All it requires is for one person, either from the organizing team or someone to come and say, hey guys, you want to just squeeze past and get in the middle, it'll get solved out, right? That little bit of an interaction suddenly starts getting solutions. Much like how Chennai Marigalam vandute, you know, my wife loves you guys, I don't know, just to let you know. And you also have competition because there's Pradeep John of the Tamil Nadu Weatherman as well, so you'll have to fight it out.
Just to clarify,
you guys are
we're all peers.
Oh, you're all peers? Good job. In our house, in our apartment, nobody looks at the weather department, government weather department. In fact, it works the other way around. If they say that it's going to rain, the kids, first they are very happy because it'll never going to rain, they can go out and play. Right? So these guys have established so much more credibility, so much more trust. They have mastered the art of storytelling. You know? And all these things put together, isn't it a shame that the government is not utilizing for someone who doesn't even charge money, who's doing it as a passion? I live in Virugambakam, guys. With every little drizzle or a rain, there are a couple of roads that gets flooded. The community took note of it, and they started to map out the areas, the drains that were getting clogged. And so eventually, when the government staff came, by good collaboration with the community and the workers, the government workers, it was cleaned so very swiftly. Bang opposite to my house is a guy called Mullai Vanam, very appropriately named, because 6 years ago he lost his wife. And in memory of his wife, every single day he takes it upon himself to go and plant trees. He has started an organization called Tree Bank and does some phenomenally good service in building a community. ரொம்ப பாராட்டத்தக்க விஷயங்க. He builds his community, goes, plants a lot of saplings. Unfortunately, எதனா ஒரு வாய்க்கால் வெட்டணும்னா they all get chopped down. Your heart bleeds when you see a 3-year-old, 4-year-old trees, lush green, getting chopped down. Why? Because there's a canal that needs to be laid. Why? Because there's an electricity wire that needs to go up and needs to get chopped down. And there is this urban forestry department, which does exactly what these guys are supposed to do. All it requires is just a little bit of a coordination. It is in the government and the department's own selfish interest to encourage and embrace people like these who are doing exactly the job that they are doing. When I ask my students to go and do that research and go meet up with companies, I'm doing myself a favor, honestly. Right? I want to become a better teacher. I want to be more effective, and that's the reason why I passed it on. Right? So similarly, I think it works out very well. So 6 days ago, I went to speak at the Malaysia Social Media Week in Kuala Lumpur. I'm stepping inside the international airport, and right at one of the entrances, I think it's gate number 4, lies the most ugliest statue that I can ever find. It is a bit of a granite kalla vandittu அதை செதுக்கினே இருக்கும்போது திடீர்னு ஏதோ வேற வேலை வந்துருச்சு போல இருக்கு, அப்படியே விட்டுட்டு போயிட்டாங்க. இந்த திருப்பதி அமட்ட வேலை கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களாங்க? It was exactly like that. It's a shame on our society. I mean, this Nadu vandu is the land of sculptures, 5,000-year-old civilization. We have the best of sculptures, and all we could find is this awful-looking statue, half-finished, that you're putting it out for international visitors to see. Just like another social media guy, knee-jerk reaction, you pick out your phone, you take your photo, and you vent your spleen on Facebook. Consequently, of course, comments will come.